Hey, welcome back, YouTube. Today, May 7th, 2026, Tennessee became the first state in the United States to redistrict under the new Supreme Court redistricting rule, the rule that gutted Section 2 of the Voters' Rights Act. Now, I told you this was coming, so we all better start paying attention because it's about to get worse. They didn't deliberate, they didn't hold hearings, and they didn't slow down. 8 days after the ruling dropped, 8 days, Tennessee called a special session. They drew new maps, they put it to a vote, and Governor Bill Lee signed it into law. And just like that, Memphis, the only majority black congressional district in the entire state of Tennessee, right now, it's just carved into little pieces, distributed across Republican districts, so that the black voters in Memphis, one of the blackest cities in the country, can no longer produce black federal representation. I really need you to understand what happened today, because what's happening in that chamber today is not going to just stay in Tennessee. Before I go on and say another word, I want you to look at this video and watch this man's face when he said what he said. Because reading it is one thing, but actually watching it is something else.
Minutes.
These maps are racist tools of white supremacy at the behest of the most powerful white supremacist in the United States of America, Donald J. Trump. Memphis is the most beautiful place on the planet. It's the place that raised me, my brothers, my parents, my grandmothers, and where my ancestors' bones rest. And what you are doing today is eviscerating the only black majority congressional district in our state because we are majority black. We are here because this Republican Party has to seek to steal elections and seats, because the president and the party have refused to address the pain, the suffering, and the struggling of everyday Tennesseans. This is about attacking, targeting, and cracking District 9 into pieces for more political and racial dominance and white supremacy in the state of Tennessee. And we need to realize that the Calais decision that you all are basing your decisions off of, that gutted the Voting Rights Act, that Voting Rights Act was paid in blood. It was not just a parchment of paper signed into law. It was paid in blood on the Edmund Pettus Bridge. Paid in blood by Medgar Evers, paid in blood by Fannie Lou Hamer. It's been paid in blood year over year, time after time, assassination after assassination, lynching after lynching, so that more people might be able to ascertain access to this constitutional democratic republic experiment that is currently being gutted and seeking to be gutted by this chamber, by this House, this Senate, and this state. What is happening here is immoral and wrong. And I was reading my Bible early this morning, asking God why this is happening. Why, again, does it seem that white supremacy is seeming to gain? Why, again, does it seem like the pillars of pain that we have felt and experienced for over 400 years in this country continue to rise again? And whispered in the words of this Bible and in the words of those ancestors that have gone before us is just these simple words: we're still here. We are still here. This nation, this state has legislated and legalized the worst things in humanity, including our enslavement, and we are still here. Right in this country where, as one black woman said, your ancestors enslaved us, denied us of our rights, called us 3/5 of a person, and yet we are still here. You put us on cotton plantations and tobacco plantations. You denied our human rights and our right to exist as children of God, and we are still here. You destroyed Tulsa. You killed and lynched black folks on poplar trees. Shelby County, Tennessee had the most lynchings of anywhere in this state where you're taking this district, and we are still here. You've had 3 strikes laws, mass incarceration, denied us of who we are, and we are still here. And today you'll take the only majority black district from us. But I want you to know, and I want my nephew, sons, and the future to know, no matter what you do, no matter how much you try and break us and make us bend and make us quit, we will still be here.
Watching him stand in this room, surrounded by all these people who was about to vote yes, and he still had the gall to say it. That's something different. His name is State Representative Justin Pearson, and he's a representative from Memphis. He stood in the room and said all of that, and they heard every word. And they voted yes anyway.
Hey, bro, come on now, dog. Come on, man.
So the question is, how did they get legal cover to do all of this? Let me start with the ruling that made today possible. The United States Supreme Court issued its decision on Louisiana versus Callis. The ruling gutted Section 2 of the Voters' Rights Act, the law that has been the primary legal protection of black political power in this country since 1965. So what changed? If the state drew a map that diluted black power, we can challenge that in court. And it was on the state to prove that it was not being discriminatory to black people. And after Callis, now we have to prove that they intentionally are targeting race. Now that bar is nearly impossible to clear. And the people who wrote the ruling, they knew that when they wrote it. It was paid in blood on the Edmund Pettus Bridge by people like Medgar Evers, Fannie Lou Hamer, years over years of lynching after lynching until laws were written. And just like that, the Supreme Court stripped all of the enforcement out of the law. Because once that ruling dropped, they didn't even take a weekend to even think about it. 8 days after the ruling, the maps were already drawn. All they were waiting on was a legal cover, and the Supreme Court gave it to them. Now here's what they did specifically. They took District 9, the only majority black congressional district in Tennessee, anchored by Memphis, and they cracked it. The result, it landed damage. It split black voters across Republican districts so that black voters in Shelby County spread so thin that it cannot elect a federal representative. Carmen Saxon stood up and said the maps were drawn on population and politics, not race.
Memphis is predominantly African-American, correct?
Mr. Speaker, and you all can.
I would defer to you on that. That was not used in the drawing of this map.
Okay.
Representative Chisholm.
I keep going. Shelby County is also predominantly African-American, correct?
I would defer you. There was no racial data used in the drawing of this map.
Okay. So the congressional district is the only majority black congressional district in the state. Is that correct?
I'll defer to you on your opinion on that.
And he had the nerve to say that with his whole chest. Before today, Tennessee had 1 black congressman out of 9 seats. And after today, they are now positioned for 0. And Tennessee is just the opening act. President Trump has called on every Republican-led state to follow Tennessee's lead. Louisiana is already moving. Alabama has already called for a special election. And South Carolina, they are already taking steps. And Ohio, don't think that we are exempt from that conversation, because we're not at all. With a governor's race within 1 point and having the only black candidate that's running statewide on the ticket, we're sitting in the center of this fight, whether we show up or not. You're thinking, Ken, what do we actually do about this? Because outrage isn't strategy. And I agree with you. So let me give you the strategy. They are not trying to stop black people from voting. They're trying to make black voting mathematically irrelevant. You can turn out every black voter in Memphis, but if our votes are spread over 5 Republican districts, then that means that we will never be able to get black representation on a federal level. And that is the design. The counter is we have to do the same thing that our ancestors did, the same thing that Representative Peterson named on the floor. So what we have to do, we got to build numbers so large, so overwhelmingly, so undeniably that there's no map that can contain them. And that's not inspiration, that is math. When we can take Cleveland from a 29% voter turnout to a 38% voter turnout, that's 28,000 additional voters. In a 1-point statewide race, that can be the difference maker. And let me tell you, there's no gerrymandering that can absorb that kind of overperformance. But it's going to require some organization because the next attack comes not after. Tennessee didn't give us no warning. They moved on that in 8 days. We have to already be in formation. Our faith communities need to be at the table, fraternities and sororities at the table, civic organizations and neighborhood leaders. We all have to be sitting at the same table, organizing this thing together. And that's why today, right now, I'm calling for the official kickoff of Freedom Summer 2026, right here in Cleveland, Ohio. This is not a political event. This is a Black community event for civic mobilization in our communities. We all need to come to the table and be on the same page together. Before they come for our maps, we have 862,000 people registered to vote right here in Cuyahoga County. But 672,000 of those people chose not to vote in this primary. I don't know about you, but Tennessee showed me something today. They showed me that they're coming for our district. They're coming for our maps. They're coming for our political power, legally, systemically, and without apology. Representative Peterson quoted our ancestors on the floor today. Fannie Lou Hamer, she didn't die for us to stay at home. And here's my ask. It's real simple. If you lead a church, reach out. If you lead a civic group, a fraternity, a sorority, or any kind of community organization, reach out. And if you're done watching and you're ready to move, reach out. Hey, you can go to Voices for a Better Future PAC. That's vfvf.org. Put your name in, register, be a part of our organization, and we'll get you in the room. Tennessee, they showed us the attack. Cleveland, we're going to show the country our response. I'm Kenn Dowell, and this is the Resource Room, a place where we bring art, culture, politics, and business all together and give you an opportunity to give you the real truth of what's going on so that you can make better decisions. If you'd like to be a part of what we're doing, we'd like for you to hit the like button, subscribe button, and share this with anyone else in your network that might benefit from it. Also, you can go to Voices for a Better Future PAC, where you can sign up then to be a part of what we're doing, help donate to our cause, and help us to be able to make a difference right here in Ohio. Till next time, peace.